gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome in to episode number 80 of Clark After Dark, right here live and direct on RaceON.com. Baby, we're back with a little bit of Stranglehold and Ted Nugent because it was just that kind of weekend. It was just that kind of weekend at the dirt track, wasn't it? Around the Arkville, Texas past weekend. Of course, I was in the SIP with the United States Modified Touring Series this last week, and we had a couple of bangers over there in Mississippi. But, man, all eyes were on Boot Hill Speedway this past weekend. Is my buddy across the row from me, bringing him into the podcast now, Cortland Smith, my co-host of this podcast. He called her a slobber knocker the other night, and that's exactly what Boot Hill Speedway delivered on Saturday night at the oldest operating dirt oval in the state of Louisiana at the Boot Hill Speedway. Again, a first-time USMTS winner in Mississippi on Saturday night at Mitchell's Motorplex. We'll talk about that. Autism Awareness Night at Boot Hill. Buddy Kofoid with an I-55 sweep with the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. The Illini 100 at Farmer City this past weekend with the World of Outlaws late models. And, dude, just big racing all across Texas and the state of Louisiana this past weekend and all across this great land, right? Let's get in and let's talk about it, shall we? He's Cortland Smith. I'm Zach Clark. Happy to talk about racing tonight, folks. Ran into a couple kerfuffles on the way in here tonight. I'm still turning the music up and back down. I'm trying to get it dialed back down. But how are you doing tonight, big dog?
We're doing good. We're LIVIN and friend. It's we've made it to a lovely Tuesday night for Clark After Dark, and can't be no more excited than I am, man. Like you said, we had great racing action all across the country, and I think it's safe to say some of the best racing action that we've seen in the Arkville, Texas happened this past Saturday night at Boot Hill Speedway, and a lot of other great tracks as well. You know, I was just up there. All my attention on Saturday was obviously on Boot Hill, man, and like you said, it was an absolute slobber knocker of a Saturday night at Boot Hill, and so really excited, man. That place finally delivered like we know and like we know it could all year long, right? Like we've been waiting on it. Like we're not going to hide the fact that it rubbered up with the Ronnie Adams and it didn't race really good the other night. But man, this past Saturday night, dude, it delivered in every shape and fashion of the word delivered, right? So, man, I'm super pumped up. Like if this doesn't get your blood pumped up for that 30K, like I don't know what to tell you. Like your feet stink and you don't love Jesus. That's all I can tell you. Because like that, after watching that, I am ready for Factory Stock Spring Nationals. Zach Clark.
Yeah, you know what I learned this weekend is that I do love our local racing, and I had major FOMO this weekend. I mean, I told you all the way up to last week. I was like, man, I don't want to miss it. I had a great feeling, right? We had added money in all the classes this weekend, right? I think even the Sportsters paid $500 to win this weekend. It was big money in all the classes, and all the big dogs were there, right? Even Cody King showed up from Oklahoma to race the B-Mods. He just won King of America at Lucas Oil a couple weeks ago, right? Not saying I wasn't happy by no means on the road, right? Announcing USMTS in Mississippi, man, I had a blast. Don't get me wrong. You know, I know I ended this podcast a couple of weeks ago, right? Talking about that we needed to get it together, right? Like everybody, like we got to get it together because we know what the expectation is. And I know that we can do better. And boy, out Saturday night, we went back and watched the features on RaceON the other night. I mean, they were just outstanding. They truly were. The racing was phenomenal. Bubba and Rollo had the track on point. And, man, I'm proud of Boot Hill Speedway, right? Just look at the car count, right? 126 cars. And I think there was another 73 or 4 down the road at Arkville, Texas, which is a pretty solid night overall for Arkville, Texas regional racing. You got to be really proud of that. And don't lose the sight of Super B was down the road. Bo Slay sweeps the pair of Mississippi State Challenge Championship Series events for super late models. So it was a big weekend of racing for the state of Louisiana. And we'll get into the nuts and bolts of it. Man, it was a big weekend for the state.
It 100%, like you said, and you know it might not have been the most cars that certain places wanted, but at the end of the day, you add up Super B, Boot Hill, and Arkville, Texas, man, you're looking at almost 300 race cars were racing in the state of Louisiana, right? So it's absolutely crazy to think about it like that. And you know, whether you want to go watch super late models or you want to go watch weekly action at Arkville, Texas, or Boot Hill, you had that option, right? And then when you talk about all the races that were on RaceON, heck, we were sending the results pages back and forth, and it felt like 18 different places were racing this weekend, right? Like we are in full-blown racing season. Everybody is all over the place. Everybody's trying to get their races in, and right now, knock on wood, Mother Nature's been halfway decent to us, and a lot of places were able to race this past weekend and put on a lot of good shows.
I want to jump back into Boot Hill, but I do, before we get too far away, because we've been jumping and missing our number 80s, right? Tonight's number 80, right? Episode 80. So I want to get into the numbers before we get into the nuts and bolts of Boot Hill here. Jason Langford, right, raced with us with
Yeah.
USMTS this week, and I expected him maybe to be at Boot Hill racing for the good money, for autism awareness, but he was up racing with the USMTS this weekend. And hey, man, Jason Langford out of Palestine, Texas, has really stepped his game up. He's racing with the big dogs, and he has gotten better and better as a racer. Drives the 80 double X car. And of course, Josh Hawkins from White House, Texas, drives 305 sprint cars. Of course, he's raced some 305 stuff. Lone Star Speedway. He's won some races at Arklatex, Lone Star. I'm not sure if he ever won one at Boot Hill, but that blue and kind of pink number 80 car out of White House, Texas, Josh Hawkins. And I've been just doing this the last few weeks, right? The number 80 is a very prominent number, right, in NASCAR Cup Series history. It does have 216 career starts and only one win for the number 80 in NASCAR Cup Series history with Jim Paschal at Martinsville back in 1953. Okay. And World of Outlaws sprint car champion Dave Blaney made his first ever career sprint cup or NASCAR Winston Cup start
Winston Cup.
back in 1992. So last week we had Kenny Wallace making a start for Furniture Row, or episode 78 for Furniture Row at Dover in 1992. Well, this at 1992 at Rockingham, Dave Blaney drove a number 80 and debuted for his first career sprint cup start. That's pretty cool little nugget I found there on Dave Blaney.
Yeah, you took my 80, Zach.
Oh,
I sitting here, I was drawing a blank and I
I'm
had
sorry.
Dave Blaney pulled up. No, you're good. The other
Yeah,
one I got is
okay.
Parker Jordan out of Princeton, Louisiana. Made a couple factory stock starts. I don't think he's raced recently in the last couple years, but I did remember 180. Mr. Parker Jordan out of Princeton, Louisiana. Made a couple starts down at Sabine and Boot Hill a couple years ago, but haven't seen him around since then. But yeah, you kind of stole my big hitter there with Dave Blaney, but it's okay, friend. Like you said, 80's not the most prominent racing number, and so we're kind of thin pickings there when when we get to this number.
Absolutely. Here, let's get into this factory stock race at Boot Hill, right? I feel like it needs to lead off the show in a way tonight. Or how do we shape this conversation, right? Do we say is Josh Martin like because I feel like Josh Martin's already arrived, right? He's won. I think this was his 7th career win at Boot Hill Speedway tonight, which is more than a lot of people can say in their career, right? Which is pretty good. He won that 50th anniversary not a few years ago when all the big dogs were there, and this is back to back for him at Boot Hill. How many drivers can say in their career have won back-to-back races at Boot Hill? Like, well, Derek Grigsby's been on the tail, but as far as factory stock racing and its prominence, that was a tough field he beat the other night. Dalton Faulkner was out front. Looked like it may have been 27's race to lose, right? And it was, in fact, that ended up being the case. He got up there in turn number 3, got in just a little bit hot, and then Pursley kind of piled in behind him. And man, Diggin was in the mix like Du Bois. Whitehead ends up 2nd at the line. Kind of go through it from where you were sitting. Like, it's kind of hard to remember these things when you're calling them, but we went back and kind of watched it together in Discord the other night. Dude, that was a phenomenal race at Boot Hill on Saturday night. And dude, we can only hope and pray that it's that good for 30 grand. Last year was good, right? Hennigan came from the tail to win it, but man, that thing was phenomenal all the way down to the drop of the checkered flag.
Man, when you got 5 guys under a blanket for 20 laps, and mind you, I think there was only one caution early on in that race, and they raced it out all the way through the checkered there. And when you got 5 guys under a blanket, and I didn't call a lot of things great, but who's it going to be? You tell me, because I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Because I don't know. I'm telling you, because going into turn 1 or when the white flag comes out, you literally had no idea who was going to win that race. And it just was the fact of, like you said, Pursley jumps out leading early. Faulkner takes over and looks like it's 27's day all day long. The longer they run that top, the more difficult it got. And, you notice in like you said, in 3, he stumbled and almost did a Ross Chastain Hail Mary there. Like he gassed it up to try to get off the wall. And then he gets the racing with Du Bois there. And then Whitehead throws his hat in there. And it was just an absolute, you can't put it into words, man. I was up there literally. Natalie made fun of me because she's up there kind of helping out some. And she made fun of me because she said she could see my shadow. And I was running back and forth in the press box because I was by myself, had a little room to stretch my legs. And I would like run down to turn 1. And then when they were throwing sliders or getting tight off of 3, I'd run back over there to the turn 3 and 4 side. So it was an absolutely phenomenal race, man. Like you said, this is why we love factory stock racing, because of stuff like that. You had 5 guys throwing all caution to the wind, everything they had, certified slobber knocker, barn burner, however you want to describe it, because it was everything, but everything that you could imagine. And that is why we love it. And it is a perfect lead into the 30,000. That right there is
Yeah.
what we hope it comes down to.
Martin was mentioning me. He said I don't want to change too much. He said that shit was too cool though, man. He said I've never been in that spot to for it to come down to the wire like that and say, "Holy shit, I just won." That's what he messaged
Yeah.
me later on that night. I love hearing from the driver's perspective. Of course, Josh and I are friends, but man, you could see how much that win meant for him, right? Because he even said it in his Facebook post a few weeks ago. That win, sure, well, any win at Boot Hill is special, but to win, with Dalton and Craig and everybody, 36J was there because remember, 36J was at Rocket a few weeks ago when
Yeah.
Martin won at Boot Hill. So listen, those are a lot of the guys that are going to be contending for the big bucks, right? For 30 grand in just a couple of weeks. So, another interesting thing, Martin said, he said he really didn't feel like he had the winning car until they got down to it. And he saw Dalton kind of kept getting into the wall. And he said, shit, I better start whipping this thing there towards the end. And of course, he threw that short slider down there in turns 1 and 2 across the nose of the double nickel of Dubois. Man, they were getting it on, man. It was good to see Dalton back running good in the 55. He had a lot of really good runs in the
Yeah.
one car, but it's good to see the 55 back hunting again.
About to say that 55, I didn't talk about it enough earlier when I did my little recap. That 55D was digging. Like that's digging Dubois'
Yeah.
back. Like he's got that DIG, all capitals, friend, because he rolled that bottom really, really well. And he was, and Josh kind of followed him up there, right? Like, and it's that 55 car when I walked to the pit area that night, he was not necessarily had his head down, but he told me he's still scratching his head a little bit trying to get it figured out. And obviously whatever they stumbled upon on Saturday night at Boot Hill is something that he's going to put in the old notebook and definitely probably pull back out at some time or another here in the next couple of weeks.
All right, so I compiled a list of all the racetracks that raced in Texas
Yeah.
and around Arkansas this weekend. And while we're just talking about factory stocks, I want to kind of talk about what do you think is the most interesting factory stock winner from this weekend? Because I think the field is pretty interesting, or the list of winners. How about Jeffrey Abbing taking a win? Right, we saw Boone Evans win at Heart of Texas in the factory stock a few weeks ago, but he's another driver that's getting primed up to race for 30 grand at Boot Hill. He's got that Hardman Motorsports car rolling, and him winning down there is a pretty good, teaser or a test for him to get that car rolling for Boot Hill. And also, how about Rodney White? He picks up the win at Grayson County. That's his home track. Sean Graham won down the road at Arklatex the other night. But how about Phil Dixon? Won down at Texana
That's
in a
the
factory
one.
stock the other
Yeah.
night. That's the one that got me. I thought you would probably notice that one. And he doubled up. He also won the limited modified feature that night. Dude, Jared Moppin too, man. I don't want to take them all from you. I'm sorry. But dude, Jared Moppin too. I'm sure he'll be racing for 30 grand at Boot Hill. This was a quite an impressive field of winners this past weekend.
Yeah, it was 100%. And Zach, you pretty much took all of them except for Michael Trammell the second at KSP and CJ Howell at Super B and Chris
And Chris
Davis. So
Davis.
and Chris
My
Davis,
bad.
yeah, I was adding him in there. You throw those three guys in there, but man, that's a who's who list of factory stocks. And even though we like to claim that we're not necessarily going to say king of the factory stocks up here, but this is the home place, right? The Arklatex was the birthplace of the factory stocks, and you kind of like to keep that as we're the king guys. But it's one of those deals of like, man, like when you put the list up like that you hope that every single one of those guys is showing up for 30K, because that's what makes this class so great. Is we got guys like Phil Dixon winning at Texana, we got guys like Rodney White winning at Grayson County, Jared Moppin, I think he won the Stems race down there at a Cotton Bowl as well, so he doubles up. Like, you got all this, there's just so much talent in this factory stock class that it's absolutely crazy. And do they race these cars every single night? Some of them do, yes, but some of them kind of just hit it sparingly, and they know that the big money's on the line. They're going to roll through that pit gate, and it's just really, really cool to just see the talent we had. Another one, don't sleep on CJ Howell winning at Super B. Obviously, Josh Martin's got the Force chassis going, and I know that there's got to be some type of information's got to get relayed somewhere there. I don't know if Josh is going to keep everything close to his chest, or maybe let CJ know a thing or two, but that's one to probably keep your eyes on there, because man, it wasn't too long ago CJ Howell was on a tear and winning a bunch of races up here and winning at Boot Hill Speedway 2 or 3 times, and he was the favorite rolling in, right? So it's just, man, it is a who's list in factory stocks. These guys that win, they earn it every single time that they cross the checker flag and end up in victory lane.
Yeah, I thought Michael Trammell getting the victory at Kennedale Speedway Park is a pretty impressive win, for him. And hopefully maybe he'll show up at some point. There's that list on the screen. I think it's been up there for the viewers to see it this whole time anyway. That's what Cody, our producer, just told us in our ear. So kind of threw that together earlier this afternoon. I love kind of looking at this list and throwing all the tracks that race
Yeah.
together. Of course, the World of Outlaws, race all the way up to Farmer City. I didn't put the Mitchell's Motorplex, the USNTS races, I call them there. I just put the stuff that, was majorly seen live on RaceON or raced in the state of Texas or Louisiana. this past weekend. It is a really good, interesting list, and man, it makes me proud of how well racing is seemingly doing in most of these areas, right? I mean, I haven't been on the phone talking to all these promoters directly, but it seems like racing is alive and well right now and doing good in the great state of Texas and beyond. And hey, man, like we said, 126 cars in the pits at Boot Hill Saturday. And while we have this list up, how about limited modifieds for a second? Because we've talked about it on this pod the last few weeks that somebody's got to show up to Greenwood and give that 69 car run, right? Like, hey, it's not a shot at Derek. But you know that Derek wants competition. Well, boy, he had it on Saturday night. He started eighth. He drove the third in the 69. But Shane Abair, listen, now's the time to have this conversation right here, right now on Clark After Dark. Can we just go ahead and have this conversation? Is Shane Abair one of the top three greatest limited modified drivers of all time? I mean, or top two? I think top three covers it, but I mean, are we top three?
Yeah, I don't see how he's not. You know, like,
Yeah,
what do you mean? Like, not only can he go
yeah.
out there and win
It's
big
just a dumb
races in a
question.
limited
I'm
mod.
sorry.
Yeah, that was. I mean, like, people may agree or disagree, but for when you talk about limited modifieds, it's kind of like you look at it and you got to have Shane and Jason Ingles, right? Like, not only did they go out there and win a bunch of big races in limited modifieds, they also build them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Yes,
kind of one of those deals.
absolutely.
Like, the impact that Shane Abair has had on limited modified racing, and same thing with like Jason Ingles, right? Like, I'm not taking nothing away from Shane. He's the one that won at Boot Hill. Jason went racing a limited. He ain't raced it a whole lot lately, but still, both of those guys. I mean, them two are easily in the top three, and then you can kind of pick who else you want to throw in there, right? Like that. If you're asking me, from coming up and watching racing, being a young 26-year-old man like that, those are the two guys. If you're going to say the top three, you got to have them two in there. Then you can argue whoever you want as the third, because Shane Abair not only gone out there and won a bunch of big races, he also builds really fast race cars, right? So it was really, really cool to see him roll into Greenwood and pick up the dub, though, man. Like, he ran a really good race, was married to the bottom, and it's just like Shane has such a I'm not saying weird driving style, but watching him drive a race car it is, you got to pick up the different little things he does. Like, it seems like he's driving so hard, but he can keep that car so straight. Like, I don't know how. Like,
Yeah.
he's just one of those guys. Like, just next time Shane Abair hits the racetrack, ladies and gentlemen, go watch him in a limited modified, and hopefully you'll understand. I can't describe it. Just when you watch that car go around the racetrack and you go like, oh, Shane Abair's driving it. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
No
I hope
doubt.
that's
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's what I'm getting to there. But
He can
yeah,
make
Shane Abair definitely one of the top three in limited modifieds, and put on a clinic at Boot Hill this weekend, Zach.
Yeah, that's that Puckett Motorsports car that, typically frequents Chatham, Kendall Puckett. Man, yeah, it is great to see. I text Shane the other night and I said, "Man," I said, "Congratulations on the win." I said, "Please come back and race more often." He said, "We're gonna do it as free time allows." So I'm sure he'll
Yeah.
come back and race a few more throughout the year. So that's exciting news there. A few more limited modified or sport mod winners this past weekend. Trevor Cogburn, I keep talking about it on this podcast, but I got your
Yeah.
pit pass at Boot Hill paid for as soon as you rolled through the gates for the first time. You just let me know. And hey, he continues to roll over there at in Waco at Heart of Texas Speedway. Hey, about Risky Business showing up to Vivian though the other night. Showed up in that
Yeah.
Loftus Motorsports car. Matthew Risky goes to Victor Lane at Arclitect Speedway for the first time in his career. Pretty cool for him to go to Victor Lane there. And Mark did Underwood go to Victor Lane? Yeah, in the limiteds at Super
Yeah.
Beast.
He
So
won Super
Underwood
B.
did his thing over there. Yeah, it's another strong field of winners, right? Phil Dixon again. He won in the sport mod down
Yeah.
there at Texana. Like, for real, man, when you could take this limited modified winners list and put them all in a race too, have a race of champions, dude, we'd have a hell of a show.
Yeah, I guess no doubt about it. And then, we talk about how much talent's in the factory stocks. Really, it's in everything. And I know I'm kind of
It
sounds
is.
like I'm taking the smooth way out of this to not start no conflict. But man, at the end of the day, it's true. Like, these guys that go out there and win these races, man, when I'm not taking nothing away from any other classes. That limited modifieds factory stocks, they've been the heartbeat of Arclitex racing for a long time, right? Like, been the tried and true for the last 10, 15 years is limited modifieds and factory stocks. And you got a lot of, bigger paying races in them. And those guys have just, you kind of find a spot. Like, look at Derek Grigsby, he's found a home in limited modifieds for the last so many years, right? You probably got the number, you probably can spit the number out. I can't, but you find guys like Shane, Derek, Phil Dixon, that's raced anything and everything, and he'll pull out a limited modified every once in a while. And you got these new up and comers that come in and kind of stick their hat in the ring. But man, it's just really, really cool to see. Like you said, it's such an eclectic mix, such a good group of drivers from all over the great state of Texas and Louisiana that we all get to see race week in and week out.
Oh yeah, by the way, Cody Smith also won at RPM on Saturday night. Can't forget him. I mean,
Yeah.
if you put out a hitters list, he's the reigning king of the hill is Cody Smith. I'm sure he'll be racing for 30 grand too in the factory stock coming up. And I wouldn't be surprised he brings that Robert Clark Racing number 25C. This show's been a little different tonight, man. I'll be honest. I know it's a little bit different. And we're kind of rolling through the results, but I kind of like it having these results on here and just kind of picking and hitting what because man, I like to try to give everybody recognition, but even if we don't mention you verbally, hey, at least your name is up there on the screen anyway, right? You
There
guys
you go.
earned it, right? You guys earned it. Dude, Cameron Starry, just kind of seeing his name on the winners list. I don't know how many cars there at Cotton Bowl. I could look it up real quick. All I do know is, and I'm not sure that it matters how many cars show up because that kid has been on an absolute tear to start off 2026, all the way to Arizona, to New Mexico. This kid is winning back in Texas. Cameron Starry is a supremely talented driver. He picked up another win this past weekend in the IMC stock cars as well, and he just continues to roll on as well. So another bit. I don't know if you want to add on to that, but yeah, that Cameron Starry. I know we briefly talked about him before on here.
Yeah. No, he's an absolute talent for sure. He's one that another guy that maybe doesn't race the factory stock a whole lot, but he might be able to find a ride to get to that 30,000, right? But like you said, he's been tried and true. They've traveled all across the country, and week in and week out, he continues to prove just how talented he is and how good that ride is. Like he gets the job done no matter who, what, why, when, and where. He's gone all the way up north and done IMCA stock car tours all over there, and then when he comes back home, he still goes out and performs there, right? A name I want to throw out there. It was kind of funny because it made me do a double take, Zach. Maybe an old rookie mistake here. JD Ammons picks up the Sportster win at Arklatex. The problem was he ran his heat race at Boot Hill. So I announced the heat race with JD Ammons in it. And then I look up on Facebook about 3:00 in the morning. It said he won at Arklatex. And I was in a whole kerfuffle thinking, oh, Lord, like I look fantastic right now calling somebody JD Ammons at what it was him. He had just happened to make the drive. He went from Boot Hill to Arklatex. So shout out to JD Ammons for giving me a heart attack at 3:00 in the morning thinking I called somebody the wrong name all night long.
Yeah, dude. And Little John Tuckle also won the Sportsters over at Boot Hill. He came from 10th to get the job done. And James Caskey, who's been on a pretty good roll. He had to give his shocks up. I read a post by Steve Bogus the day after. He's he's keeping them Sportsters in line. Nobody's on the naughty list this week, to my knowledge. I don't think anybody got the old Dairy Queen there or the DQ for the Sportster class. So all is good in the world there. Also at Boot Hill, man, Cody King came over and put it on him in the B mod the other night. I'm sure he'll be back for the West Grigsby. I'm not sure what the money or the purse looks like for that race that weekend. I'm sure it'll be for limiteds. And I'm sure they'll have something special for the B mods too, but I'm not real sure on that. But I know I know he loves coming down to race at Boot Hill Speedway,
Yeah.
does Cody King. And he's on a tear right now, man. That TGR or that J2 race car by Tony Jackson Jr. is that nickel dime car, as I call it, the old triple digits, is whistling
Yeah.
Dixie right now. And he was also getting it on Saturday night.
He caught me as I was rolling through the pit area and he said, "Sup, cuz?" And I said, "I did not expect your goofy looking self to be rolling into Boot Hill Speedway." And he said, "Shoot, I got to. Like, y'all paying some good money." And like he goes, I like this place. Like he goes, "I ain't never really had a bad time here." And I said, "Well, I'm glad you're here." And then at the end of the night, like you said, he went out there and Cody King, and it just that operation is good. And I know I've said that about a lot of things, but man, you go up there to Lucas Oil Speedway and you do what he did up there and then come down here. And I actually, when I walked by, him and Cody Tupper were talking and they were kind of just bouncing some things back and forth. And, it was funny, Cody. I walked up and Cody said, Tupper said, "I told King he needs to stay away, that this is my neck of the woods. I can't have nobody growing in and whooping up on me." So you could definitely tell there was there was a friendship there, but it was a rivalry. I don't think there wasn't a single B mod that when they checked in, they went, "Oh crap, Cody King's here." Like they all knew in the back of their head that 510 was there and they knew he was going to be a contender. Right. And so at the end of the night, I rolled by and I told him good job and congrats. And he said, "You want to hang out?" And I said, "No, cuz I can't. Like I got to drive home, but I wish I could."
Right.
We talked about Boone and Cody wanting to hang out and have a good time. And, the 510 camp, man, whether it was at the Mike Parker last year, they were rebuilding stuff or after a win, no matter what, man, like Cody King is a good time. And I was really excited for him to pull down here. And, Colby Williams did look really, really good early on leading that race. And he's probably been one of the better cars at Boot Hill in the B mods too. Is right. And
No
Cody
doubt.
King just got elbows up, said, how you doing? Keep it moving, right? Like the top's up here, and we're gonna pass you right here, right now, and not give you a shadow of a doubt of who the baddest B mod was on Saturday night. So it was really cool to see Cody King there. I mean, hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and drop it out there. Hint, hint. He said he's open to factory stock rides, ladies and gentlemen, for 30,000. He said he can make it happen. He can clear out a schedule if somebody's got a factory stock ride. He said he'd be
Hey,
down to clown. He said he told me he said Cortland, he goes I'm a driver. He said I'll show up and drive anything. I said,
yeah.
well, I hear you. Like, come on back. So
If
I'm
you
gonna
can,
drop that hint out there.
he won 10 grand last year in that stock car, and he had a different rule set than ever. Them Arkansas
Yeah,
cars were they were all saying they were supposed to be faster. I don't know, but man, he stayed in the hunt all weekend long, and the cream rose to the top, I guess, at the end of the night. But he won 10 grand for the Mike Parker Memorial last year at Texarkana. And boy, they stayed up party until 5 o'clock in the morning that night. So I think they'd stay up and shit, they'd be partying the Love Truck Stop parking lot till Monday morning. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
come
Come
on
on back.
back.
It'd be the place to be. Man, let's talk a little about the USMTS modifieds. Of course, I called them this
Yes,
past weekend at Hattiesburg Speedway on Friday night. And man, it's a really good field of cars. There's about 12 or 13 full timers this year. Jim Chisholm, the 2024 national champion, got the win on Friday night. I want to talk about Hattiesburg Speedway, man. I rolled up into that place and it is throwback, like nostalgia to the bone, son. Like they have like old door panels, kind of like when you used to pull into Arclatex, the
yeah,
Wall of Fame that I create. Well, I hate, like I don't say like I'm not an I guy, right? Like I did this, I did that, so I don't want to. But I did create the Wall of Fame at Arclatex back in 2010, and started putting all them door panels on the wall. And I'd love to see them going back up there. I don't know if they put them back up there. I know they took them down to clean them, but anyway, they had a lot of old door panels that were on the back of the grandstands, and like they're just old and rugged and rusted. And man, that old Hattiesburg Speedway is a lot more banked than I anticipated. It's a tight little bull ring. Like I'm talking super tight. I have never seen lap cars try to race the leaders harder than what I've seen the other night. And I mean, I'm not calling anybody out, but Jim Chisholm even said it. Like, but that's just how kind of narrow the track races. And it looks a lot like if you're sitting over the top of it. And I know I sent you this message. When you're just looking at it before it ever races, it looks a lot like Boot Hill Speedway just looking at it. It does not race a
yeah.
lot like Boot Hill Speedway, but it looks similar to it. But man, nonetheless, Jim Chisholm came out with the win there on Friday night. Tanner Mullins, the reigning king of America, came home second. And dude, how about Talon Willis just still chopping wood, dude? This kid and his fourth career it was fourth career USMTS start, comes home with his best career finish in third, and started on the pole. Him and Mullins tangled it or got together a couple of them restarts there. I mean, it wasn't anything significant. But Chase Holland represented, flew the flag for the state of Mississippi, came home fourth, and Rodney Sanders was fifth. That was Friday night over at Hattiesburg Speedway. Did you have a chance to catch up or watch it back or anything?
No, I hadn't. I ain't gonna lie. I was fully devoted to being prepared for Boot Hill on Saturday, so I was kind of going back watching old races and different stuff, and kind of watching other stuff. But I will say that I'm glad you described it because I was wondering. They did some interviews at practice night, right? And like Terry Phillips, he's sitting on on his couch in his rig as I lay back, hoping my seat don't break on me. But he's laid up on the couch in the S&S, and he's like, "Yeah, this place reminds me a lot of old Boot Hill Speedway." And I'm like, "What?" Like we got another Boot Hill in Hattiesburg. Like, what did he say? Like, come on back. Like, TP, we got a Boot Hill in Hattiesburg, and I don't even know it. And it was interesting to hear you describe it. And that was what I was going to ask was like, was it actually how much
Well,
did it actually look like Boot Hill? Because there
you
was several guys that said like there was, I think it was him and Tanner Mullins both said on Thursday night at practice, like, man, it kind of reminds us of Boot Hill, like the way 1 and 2 is shaped up. So I was just more or less wondering about that. Like you said, Jim Chisholm picks up the win. Mullins was second, and Talon Willis, Mullins was second. Talon Willis was third, and a really good run for Talon there. And then kind of a closer to home USMTS race we're going to get, right? So that's really good for him to go over there and stretch his legs a little bit, maybe close to home, maybe a few more fans and or family members got to go, I should say. But yeah, a really cool night at
yeah,
Hattiesburg, man. And I want to add this too. They had 31 cars at Hattiesburg and 33 on Saturday at Mitchell's, right? I got those numbers right, Zach,
yeah.
about give or take. So I think it's really cool in an area that doesn't necessarily run USMTS modifieds a whole lot. Like let's just be real. Like, when's the last time USMTS was in Mississippi, Zach? I know you probably got a
It's been
general
a
idea.
long time. It's been a while. They had
I
Jack.
know
They
they
were
raced at Jackson at one
Yeah,
time.
Jackson.
That was way back. Jackson
Yeah,
and maybe Why Not a
been some
couple, like, I
years.
mean, that was way back. Yeah, it's been years. So I think it was really cool to have 30 plus USMTS modifieds roll through the pit gate, because we'll see these
Well,
national tours go off, and you'll have the
that
Lucas Oil Series run up to North Dakota, and there only be 18, 19 cars. And it's like, bro, this race is paying 10 grand, 2 grand to, like, 10,000 win, 2 grand to start, and we got 18 cars over here in Minot, North Dakota, right? So I thought it was really cool to see 30 modified show up and support that deal over in Mississippi. I know you got something
man,
to
I
add to
pulled
that, probably.
well, no, I pulled up to both places, and, like, we always talk about pulling up when you get and it's a vibe, but, dude, it was,
Yeah,
like, they packed that place out at Hattiesburg on Friday night, dude, and then listen, I pulled up to this place, I think I got there at, like, 4:30 on Saturday, to Mitchell's Motorplex, and, dude, the parking lot, I mean, it was sand, like sand, but then you walk up to this racetrack, dude, and it is red clay, pretty banked in a 4/10 mile. This
it's
ain't
a
thing
big
in a
one.
quarter or
That's
3/8.
a
Dude,
big,
it was a lot bigger, long straightaways, like,
yeah,
dude, and I'm telling you, like, listen, both of these racetracks have so much potential. They really do. Like, so we started hot laps in the middle of I mean, I don't wanna say in the middle of the day, but when the sun was still out blaring. So we're getting into one and qualifying. I mean, they're just sending dust rooster tails up into one. I mean, it was dry, but, like, it raced fairly well, and the driver, and that's a testament too, because the drivers during the G Style Energy Draft Board, so you get to qualify and then pick where you're gonna start in your heat race. Well, like, Sanders and Stevens and everybody drew tail back. And that's what earned Stevens the outside pole position for the feature. And Tyler Stevens rolls to the lead, and he wins his first ever USMTS race at Mitchell's on Saturday night, which is really cool for him, right? He comes out, he leads 40 laps at King of America, knocks the J bar off, comes back, he never gives up, comes back, puts himself in position to win this race on Saturday. And Reese Solander was there, right? Like breathing down his, I'm sorry, was it Mullins or Solander? No, it was Solander, right? Was there breathing down his
yeah,
neck for a majority of the race, and just wasn't able to muster up enough to squirt by him. And then Jade Lusenberg ended up getting by Solander late in the race to fly the
yeah,
flag for Mississippi. So Lusenberg came home second, and Rodney Sanders does what Rodney Sanders does with another solid top five finish. And Brandon Givens had his best finish of 2026. So Jim Chisholm won on Friday night. Stevens gets his first career USMTS win on Saturday. That makes three first-time USMTS winners in 5 events this season. And Reese Solander is your USMTS points leader, who had that on their bingo card. Maybe not a surprise for Solander, but, like, I mean, dude, we were talking about this last week. Why is it that we feel like
yeah,
one era in USMTS might be better than the other, right? Let's just Derek Ramirez, Johnny Stormy Scott, Jeremy Payne, Cade Dillard, Ryan Gustin. Ricky Thornton was never like a full-time USMTS guy. Kelly Shryock, Jason Crone. But now, like there's a lot of young drivers. Me and Trenton talked about this on closing time the other night that maybe don't necessarily have that name recognition to a lot of fans yet. But like they're so working towards that, man. And I'm telling you, when you watch the race, and we had a 28 lap green flag run the other night, the racing has not fell off in this series, man. These guys are still getting it on and putting on hella good racing, and at
you
a
know
top quality.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if we go back, and not in a bad way, but like the Stormy and Johnny Scott that we know when they were running USMTS, like, yeah, they were some dudes, but they weren't the Johnny and Stormy that we know. That wasn't the Johnny Scott that went up and won
Now,
a prelim at Eldora, right? So I think that sometimes, like, we take all their success that happened later and we compound that to, like, back then, right? Like that makes them just that much better back then. And I'm not saying, like, I'm not taking no credit away from none of those dudes, but like when you talk about Jason Hughes now, it's a lot different than the Jason Hughes that was running USMTS in 2007. Does that make sense? Like, but when
oh
we
yeah,
look at it, we have the Jason Hughes of now in our mind, and I wonder if that's kind of like not necessarily a recency bias, but just the history that all those guys have. Like whenever they were out there running, like think about it, Gustin and Dillard. Like when they were out there running, they're not the Gustin and Dillard of the day. Like they're not the USA, the USA Nationals champion. They're not the Firecracker 100 champion back then. But now that they've gone on and succeeded so much, it makes that USMTS just seem that much more stout. So I wonder, like, give it 10 years here, and maybe Reese Solander's out there winning Lucas Oil late model dirt series races, and Stevens is going back late model racing, and right, like just Jim Chisholm finds a ride, and then all of a sudden we're looking at this and we're like, dude, Reese Solander won the World 100. Like, dude, that USMTS
yeah.
season, that was one of the best, right? Like, I think that, I hope I explained that well. Now you're nodding your head
No,
like
you
you
did.
understand what I'm saying. But I
It's been
think,
a
like,
great It's been a great feeder system for many years, though. Think about how
Yes.
many great drivers have come out of this thing. Really, like, and there, don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of good drivers that have come out of the IMCA ranks too, right? Because
Yes.
I think IMCA would be more prone to claim Ricky, right? But just think about
Yeah,
how many
Ricky's
great drivers have
IMCA.
come. Just think about how many drivers though have truly come out of the unit of the United States Modified Touring Series over the years that are
Yeah.
successful race car drivers. It is an impressive field of
It's
drivers. It really is.
Yeah, no, and then,
But
and you mentioned like easiest two just right off the top of the head. You take Gustin and Dillard, and those guys have won a bunch of races, and it's one of those deals of like I said, these guys can get it on, and I'm telling you that Reese Solander, he can wheel. Tanner
yeah.
Mullins can wheel. Like we all know Rodney Sanders. Hey, in case you didn't know, Gabe Hodges can wheel too, and it was really cool, kind of to wrap back to Saturday at Mitchell's. Really cool to see Tyler Stevens pick up his first USMTS win, man. And you could kind of tell in victory lane how much it meant to him, and to get it done in his phase 2 race car, right? Like he was fired up about it, and it also kind of hit home. Like you can tell he probably put a lot of work into that stuff, and he was really proud of his accomplishment. And man, I would be too. You know,
Wife got a Louis bag. Wife got a damn
I
Louis
come home
bag out of the
back.
deal. Pretty good deal. So they had 3 envelopes. You could pick one of the 3 envelopes, and, one had like $1,000, one had 750, and one had 500. So whatever one you pick, which is pretty cool, right? You can still win
Yeah,
additional on top of the money, off top of the 5,000 and a badass trophy that the Holland family also made. Shout out to Chavis Holland, Chase Holland, and his entire family. Man, it was really cool for the Holland family too to get the race back in their home state of Mississippi this weekend too. And he had 2 really, really strong showings. The results didn't pan out on Saturday. He ended up knocking a tire down there in the feature race, but had a really good effort nonetheless. Man, let's while we have a few minutes left here, I know guys that are listening, this will be a much shorter podcast this week. We apologize. Cody had some bad weather pending too, but we just got started a little bit later tonight, so this one will be a little bit cheaper. Sean Hibbs, I'm sorry, I love you. Um, but man, super late models, the World of Outlaws, sprint World of Outlaws. Well, the sprint cars were actually at Peevely. Let's talk about them first. Actually, they're at I-55. Buddy Kofoid just knocked the hat trick down. He's won 3 in a row. David Gravel got in a nasty crash on the front straightaway with Logan Schuhart. They somehow, someway fixed that damn 2 car, and he rallied from the tail to finish ninth. That's what
yeah,
wins championships. If you
you
saw
said
that
it.
crash and you could somehow just think to yourself, how in the hell does David Gravel finish ninth in this race? Folks, that's why he'll
Yeah.
win his 3rd consecutive World of Outlaws championship. Though Buddy Kofoid won the race and he's going after the title too, that right there is why the 2 car will win his 3rd consecutive championship. That was quite impressive.
Yeah, you don't want to take nothing away from Koford for what he's done, right? But
No,
like
no,
for
no doubt.
Gravel to rally like he did, like and that right there, you talk about racing's a team sport. That was a team like that. That is a team victory right there. And people don't understand when you get down the nitty gritty and when you get to Charlotte in November and you look back and you win by 10, 15 points. That was the 10 or 15 points that you picked up that night. And
Yep.
it took every single one of them to do that. So that's just one of those deals. That is the glory. I say the glory. I got to think of the right word. That is the coolness of national tour racing, right? Is like, even though your night may have gone to crap or it's not going well, it's the guys that stick it through, whether they're fire drilling trying to get this thing repaired, whatever it may be, right? But you grind it out every single night because you know every single point is so valuable that you go out there and you make that kind of save, like you kind of save your night essentially by doing that. So it is really, really cool to see. That is the glory of national racing, whether it's sprint cars, late models, whatever
Dude,
it may be, and that like you said, that not taking nothing
they
away from Buddy Kofoid. He's in the hunt for this championship as well. But if the 2 car keeps the speed that he's had, and the crew is out there slinging wrenches and getting back and saving nights like that, it's going to be hard to beat Gravel.
dude, they could race at I-55 the entire season, and I would be okay with it. Like, I would be happy as a race
I
fan.
would too.
Dude, that place is incredible. I don't know that I've ever seen a bad race from I-55 Speedway in sprint cars. Like, the World of Outlaws gets
Well,
it on
yeah.
over there, and it is always fun to watch. David Gravel has the World of Outlaws NOS Enter Drink points lead by 42 points over Carson Macedo. Buddy Kofoid is 60 points out in 3rd. Donnie Schatz kind of quietly
Donnie.
fourth in points. Uncle Donnie is 4th in points, only 82 back, and Sheldon Hodenshield in his debut season with KCP Racing is 94 back. sitting 5th in the points. World of Outlaws late model series, shall we? At the Illini 100 at Farmer City Raceway, excuse me, in not Wisconsin, Illinois this past weekend. Obviously, it's the Illini 100 for a reason. Brandon Shepherd picks up the win on Friday night. Man, I haven't had a chance to even go back and watch this race, and I just have the results. I saw Sheppy pick up the win on Friday night. Obviously, no surprise there. He's from Illinois. And then Saturday night,
Yeah.
Bobby Pierce, new married man, goes to victory lane, wins the big bucks. And I think that's his 4th career Line I 100 win. But as a new married man, congratulations to Bobby Pierce and Abby, formerly Miss Abby Joe Foster, now Abby Joe Pierce. That's pretty cool for Pierce to get in victory lane there as a happy man. I mean, they are 2 lovebirds. It's cool to see him in victory lane, I guess, if that's the case, right? That's always special, right? To win right after a
Yeah.
big life achievement, right? Like Bobby wins all the time, but I'm sure that was significant for him to win that race, having just married Abby last week.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that probably that definitely adds a little star beside it. And it's probably something that trophy probably go home and they probably got a trophy room, and that one may be able to sit in the living room now, right? So it's really cool to see. You go just to recap kind of the whole weekend, like Sheppy does what Sheppy does at Farmer City, even though he doesn't sweep the weekend like that Rocket one and Brandon Shepherd at Farmer City. If they go there for 2 nights, you can bet your bottom dollar Sheppy's gonna be in the hunt one night or the other, right? And so, he just kind of not necessarily dominated, one by 1.3 seconds come Friday night. But I mean, it was Rocket one and Sheppy from the drop of the green Friday and never looked back. And then Saturday, he had the lead early and kind of got to racing. Funny, talk about racing through lap traffic. Lap traffic kind of gets Shepherd woed up there, and Bobby sneaks around him. I think Bobby did end up having probably had the better car, was going to win it either way, but it made it a little bit easier there for him through lap traffic. Bobby got around and, like you said, won right after getting married. But don't sleep on this World of Outlaws points race
Two
yet, Zach,
points.
because I'm telling you, 2 points, and Hoffman third and second. He is just steadily knocking them bad boys down, and it's gonna be it. We're in April, and like that's Bobby's backyard, and Nick's ran a lot of summer national races, so he gets around those places good too. But like a weekend like that, where Hoffman, like those second and third start racking up. They might not be wins, but he rolls out of there in the points lead, even though it's only 2 points. Hey, he's in the
I,
lead, bud. Like, I don't know what to tell you other than like it might
I
come
was
down to the
just
wire. Like, it might be interesting.
I was just thinking about Turbo and Brett Larson's little run in the other day, and
Yeah.
Turbo on part of his interviews where he said, "Well, hey, he said, if you run around in the back with squirrels, you get your nuts cracked every once in a while." Like, he's so stupid. I love him. It's just so
I mean,
stupid. It's just the way he says it. But Herb
but
is
he ain't
5th in
lying.
points. Yeah, he's had a pretty respectable showing to start the year, right? Like Turbo's been right there. He's 173 back, sitting 5th in the points. Not sure he'll have a shot, but man, this like we talk about it. Don't sleep on this World of Outlaws roster this year, man. These guys have been putting on good racing. T Max 3rd in points. Like you said, Nick Hoffman's leading Pierce only by 2 points, and that thing. I think this is going to go down to the wire between those two all the way throughout the year. I don't think Hoffman's going to let up, man. He has been on the money every single place they go, and he's been good at tracks that you wouldn't expect him to be good at. That's why I think that he's going to be a contender for this championship all the way down to the wire here. Ryan Gustin has, man, he's left a little bit to be desired this year, right? I think start last year, I think he had a little bit more speed, but I know that Cooney Motorsports team will continue to grind. But hope to see the 19R kind of start performing better a little bit here. Where does the Outlaws head next, Cortland Smith?
Oh,
Talladega
you
short
caught me
track.
slipping. That
We're
is the
going to
Alabama Gang 100. That is right.
Talladega. Yeah, so Talladega, April 24th and 25th. That's where they're going to be. I don't know how well that's going to, but hey, it'll be fun to watch nonetheless. We'll see what happens there. I think Carson Hosevar said he's going to hop across the street
It
and
might
maybe
be.
try to race a late model, ride the Dente. So we'll see if he joins the fun. The World of Outlaw sprint cars are back in action this weekend at Knoxville Raceway. Oh, wait. April 17th, Jacksonville for a midweek banger, cuz you want to talk about one
Come
of the best
on.
midweek shows of the year last year when Kyle Larson won that
Yeah.
race at Jacksonville. I think Larson won that race at Jacksonville. Remember, because
Was it?
Shepard raced, he raced Newman's sprint car.
Yeah.
Remember, that was when Shepard made his sprint car debut. So April 17th, that's in just a couple of nights. So yeah, Jacksonville Speedway and then Tri-State this weekend. So Hopstott and Jacksonville for the World of Outlaws. NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. I haven't really looked to see what High Limits got coming up, but what do you have? Because I'm just rambling at this point.
Oh, oh, MLRA raced at Wheatland this past weekend, and if you
Oh,
wanna
yeah.
know, the 49 dominated, and that's
Dominate.
all you need to know about it, right? Like, I think he won by 7 seconds on Friday and 2.5 seconds on Saturday, and, when you look through the field, I didn't go back and necessarily watch a whole lot of it because when you pull up my race pass and you see the 49 wins by 7 seconds, I don't know how much above it I wanna go back and watch, right? But, he was really, really good there. Man, JD's always kind of always been a little sneaky good at Wheatland. And then, a couple years ago when he won the show me, he really showed like just how good he is right at Wheatland. And so to go back there and to win in the fashion he did over guys like Albertson and RTJ and Tony Jackson Jr., you throw guys like that in the mix up there, that, it was really impressive out of the 49 camp. It's what you expect Jonathan Davenport to do when he rolls into an MLRA Spring Nationals weekend, right? That's paying 20K. You expect that 49 to be up front and a contender and sweeps the weekend, and it probably got a lot of momentum rolling, or going to have a lot of momentum when they roll back into there later for the crown jewels in the year.
Yeah, speaking of the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, which Davenport's running a full, an outlaw schedule this year, so I don't know
Yeah,
that he'll be at these two. But the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is back in action next weekend, April the 24th at Georgetown Speedway, and then at Baps Motor Speedway on Saturday night, April the 25th, and they go to Hagerstown for a 3-day extravaganza on April the 26th. The high limit sprint cars are back in action at Lakeside Speedway this Friday night, and then Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri on Saturday night. So everybody's getting back at it and getting ramped up here. Lucas has been off for a couple of weeks since the Buckeye 50 at Atomic in Brownstown. So, man, Boot Hill was a banger on Saturday night, dude. I hate I missed it, like I really do. But dude, I listen. I'm going to say this for everybody that can hear. Um, any expectations that anybody could have had of you being an announcer going into this weekend, being your solo first time. Listen, man, we've only had 3 races at Boot Hill that me and you have even been able to announce together this year, right? For you and I to learn each other and have fun, right? But what we try to do, like on this podcast or anytime we're together and we're announced at that track, we try to have fun. And man, I pulled up that broadcast and I listened. And dude, I'm not even bullshitting you, Cortland. I was smiling from ear to ear, and I was so proud of you, man. Like, and I'm not saying that to get sappy here. I was so proud of you, man, because like that's a lot of pressure for a guy that's never done something like that. And dude, you did
yeah,
it, man. And hey, the only thing I've ever told you, and I know Bubba Jones told you this too, because we talked about it, is like all I ever ask of you or anybody that ever has asked me for advice as an announcer, I tell them A1 is just be yourself. Just please be
yeah,
yourself. And if you be yourself, everything will all work itself out. And dude, and the reason why everybody loves you and loves listening to you, and they're going to get more of it, is because they just love the person that you are. And that's why it works out for you when you can get on a microphone and talk about something that you love that you do. But I'm glad and I'm so happy that it went well for you. And I want you to have a little more confidence because I know, like, after you do something like that, like, you'll second guess yourself and you'll think, man, I probably
yeah,
screwed that up. Like, because you messaged me, right? Like, after the factory stock race, you were like, damn, dude, like, I probably, had a blunder here and there. But, dude, all things considered, like, no, not even all, like, dude, no, you did a badass job. Like, you really, truly
yeah.
did a fine job calling the races the other night, man. So, feather in the cap to you, my friend. You did a fine job.
Thank you. There's been a lot of positive messages, and it's one of those deals. I'll go ahead and I'll just say it like this: I appreciate all the positive messages, but what probably eased me the most was on a Sunday. I got a text from my bosses, essentially at Boot Hill, and they said, "You did a phenomenal job, bud." And after that, I was like, "Whoo! All right, I'm good," because like I care about the race fans. I want to make sure everybody's entertained, but at the end of the day, the people that hired me to do a job, I want to make sure I make them happy, right? But no,
Yeah.
man, it was like you said, that like I've never sat in a booth by myself before. Like I've always either been with you or I've been in the infield, and I've only worked 6 races. This was my 7th race to ever like work and to be by myself. And then a night where I'm sitting there and I'm looking at my race pass and I'm talking to guys and more cars are rolling in. I'm sitting there going like, oh my gosh, like it's good. Like I better be buttoned up. And you said it, and I'll just go ahead and tell the story because it's a good one. And I'm walking up there and Bubba's like, "You nervous?" And I said, "Bubba, if I ain't nervous, like I don't know what to tell you, because like if somebody ain't nervous, go do this, they're lying to you." And like you said, he said, he goes, "I didn't hire you to be the best announcer in the world. Like I just want you to be Cortland." He goes, "I love Cortland, and I just want you to go up there and be Cortland." And I said, "You know what, Bubba? You darn Skippy. That's what we're gonna go do, friend." And so yeah, I had a great time, man. I really did. I hope the race fans enjoyed it. And it's a blessing. I never thought I'd end up being in a position I am like that. I don't know, man. I still like. I don't even know how to describe it. I had so. Of course, I wish you were there, ZC. Like, I mean, me and you, we
Yeah,
have a
I
good
know.
time too. But
Yeah.
I did. I had a grand time, and I think like I guess a few people messaged me like we could tell that the fun was authentic and it was a pure enjoyment up there. And we can sit here and talk about me, but at the end of the day, the racetrack and the racers, they made my job a
Yeah.
whole lot easier,
Chris,
my man, because
dude,
it could have been a lot more rough for your boy CS over here. But I'm telling you, the racetrack race fans, everybody that had a hand in it made my job really, really easy. So don't give credit to me, give credit to those guys.
yeah, well, that's what Chris Steppen said to me one time after the Lucas Oil race that me and James Essex called at Arklatex in 2014. I remember him sending me a message and saying, he said, "Our jobs are a lot easier when the racing is that badass, isn't it?" Like, is it
Yeah.
like I don't know if it does, like, because I don't know that it makes it easier or any harder or anything, but it does. When you're having fun, it makes it seem like it's everything's going well and seamless, right? But man, that's all I got tonight here on episode number 80 of Clark After Dark. Appreciate everybody for listening and being loyal supporters of this podcast. As always, folks, we'll be back here. You tell me, I don't know, next week on next Wednesday afternoon. Y'all catch us live and direct here on raceon.com. He's Cortland Smith. I'm Zach Clark. Be blessed and be a blessing. We'll see you next time.